Hello, everyone, and welcome back to The Rundown. I will be your host today, Craig DeLuz, coming at you from the West Coast, the left coast, behind the Iron Curtain, otherwise known as the Sierras. But as we all know, I do not do this program by myself.
My microphone's fighting me. Sorry. Let's see. You did your part. Now I do my part. Hey, welcome to The Rundown. My name is Mike Piowarski, coming to you live from the East Coast. That's the coast with the most, from the co-host with the most here on The Rundown. Two-way views, conservative news. And Craig, guess what day it is?
It's raining tacos from out of the sky. Tacos, no need to ask why. Just open your mouth and close your eyes. It's raining tacos. It's raining tacos out in the street. Tacos, all you can eat. Lettuce and shells, cheese and meat. It's raining tacos. Yum, 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 yum. It's like a dream. Yum, 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 yum. Bring your sour cream.
Wow. Mike, it seems like it has been forever since we have been on together.
Yeah, I had some all week work gone last week. No internets and all that stuff. And then I think yesterday we just had some conflicts as well, and we were both gone. And boom, booyah, here we are.
Booyah, here we are. Yes. So yesterday I had neglected, my CCW was expiring and I had to take my CCW training class. And, normally I have some trainers that are here locally that I just work with, and, I get that thing done early. And this time, not so much. So I had to get a class, and they've now made it in California. It's a requirement. You have an 8-hour class you have to take in order to renew your concealed carry permit in California. So it was an all-day thing.
What? The what permit?
Concealed carry permit.
You have a permit for that?
Yes, we still have permits in California. They still make us earn our rights. Our privileges.
Yeah, we don't do that down here.
Not anymore, you don't.
We don't do that. Not with Captain Florida.
Not with Captain Florida now. Y'all just walk around with bazookas in your pants.
No. We can carry them over our shoulder. We got open carry too.
Oh, you have open carry too.
Yeah, and we don't have to wait to buy them anymore. No more waiting periods.
Just go get your bazooka.
That's it.
Right now. I'm expecting for a bunch of YouTube channels to pop up there in Florida with people blowing stuff up.
Well, have you not seen Florida Man? They do it to themselves every day.
They do it to themselves every day. Problem is, for every Florida man that does it, yeah, you kind of lose a channel because they did.
It's kind of cool because like if that thing were to happen in California, they'd be like, oh my God, look at this guy, blah blah blah. He just did this. We got to make new laws. We got to do all that nonsense. And Florida, when it happens, they're just like, Florida Man, gonna happen.
Florida Man. Well, look, which is odd because is it just me, or are the left not the ones who believe in like Darwinism, right?
Well, I don't know if they believe it so much as it's being practiced on them.
There you go. Well, it is what it is, but we're here. We're having a good old time, and I'm so glad to have you back, Mike. And I know that our audience is also very much happy to have you back.
Very cool. Very cool. Hey, I got a joke for you that I heard, but I got a question for you first.
Okay.
Have you seen the movie Odyssey?
Yes, I have.
Oh, you ought to see these nuts.
I should have known.
There's a can of nuts. I got a can of nuts for you right here.
Oh, can of nuts. Okay. I should have been prepared. Mike's probably been saving that one all week.
I think they got there's Brazil nuts in here. There's walnuts. There's they got your favorite chin nuts. They got there's peanuts. There's
Oh, Mike, I will just say you need Jesus. I'm just gonna throw that out there. On that note, let's go ahead and kick the show off the way we usually do with a quick shout out to our sponsors and not these nuts.
We could get Jesus, but most of them have been deported recently. So, hey, welcome back to the show. Make sure you check out our good friends over at Hit Industries, hitmanindustries.net. They got AR barrels with any caliber, any length you desire for rifle or pistol use. That's hitmanindustries.net. California Republican Assembly fighting a good fight behind enemy lines. Now you can take part in California's future today. If you want the best in tactical concealed holsters on the market, get on over to hogholsters.com. That's HAWG holsters.com. Use the discount code The Rundown. That's all one word, no spaces, all caps. Get yourself a nice little discount. And if you want the best in field gear, tactical gear, web gear, law enforcement, security, fire, EMS, whatever it may be, get your group together, get your agency together. Place an order at uscombatgear.com where you get everything except the gun.
Also want to encourage you, please take a moment and sign up for the 2A newsletter. All you have to do is go to 2anews.us, hit the subscribe button, and you will get all of the Second Amendment news you need Monday through Friday in your inbox. You don't have to go look through the mainstream media. You don't have to go look through the 2A media. You don't have to go look through the blogosphere or the vlogosphere. It will be right there in your inbox. And guess what? The best part is it is free. That's right, free. All you got to do is go to 2anews.us and hit that subscribe button. Put in your email address and you will be subscribed. Also, want to remind you, if you're watching this program during the 3 o'clock hour on the West Coast, 6 o'clock hour on the East Coast, you are watching us live, and we would love to get your comments, hear what you have to say. Whether you like the program, don't like the program, we really don't care, but we'd like to hear about it. And if you the best way for you to have your comment read is if you disagree with us, because we find that interesting. And well, it's interesting because it gives us the opportunity to mock you.
Oh, wow. Is that a mockingbird?
Man, is that a mockingbird? Is that a mockingbird?
We will mock you.
Yes, as a matter of fact, we will. All right, let's go ahead and get into today's news program because there's a very interesting stuff going on in the news. I don't know if y'all have heard lately, I guess depending if you follow conservative news or not, because no one on the left is following the release by Dr. Rand Paul of Dr. Anthony Fauci's personal diaries. Well, let's just say that it has been revealed that I know this is going to be a big shock to all of you out there. There's a lot of things that Dr. Fauci lied about.
Hi, Harris. The newly released diary entries shedding light on Dr. Anthony Fauci's changing relationship with President Trump, his connections to celebrities, his constant TV interviews, and his thoughts at the outbreak of the pandemic. In one entry, he wrote, quote, "I spoke with Bill de Blasio of New York City and convinced him based on what I was saying publicly in my conversation tonight to close the NYC schools. I had a similar call with Anna Leary, the chief of staff of Governor Gavin Newsom of California." Looking back, he later said this about those decisions.
I wonder if you would recommend locking down schools if you had to do it all over again.
Well, again, it's first of all, I didn't recommend locking anything down. You're asking me questions. You're talking about the CDC is the public health agency that uses their epidemiologists and their science-based approach to make recommendations.
Fauci quickly became a household name during the pandemic. He even journaled about his growing fame, writing, quote, "For better or worse, I am becoming an international celebrity. Calls from all over the world." Senate Homeland Security Committee Chairman Republican Rand Paul released more than 1,000 pages of these documents. Paul and Fauci have publicly clashed over the origins of the virus. In January of 2020, Fauci wrote, quote, "Now we know the market was not the source, it was the amplifier. Having said that, somewhere the virus jumped from animals to humans." And later, he said this.
They said there was something like 24 cases in this wet market.
This was jumping from an animal to a human in the context of the wet market.
The origin was from the Wuhan wet market.
Paul argues that these notes show that there's two different stories, what was written privately and what was said publicly. Other scientists argue that you have to make the most informed decisions with the information that you have at the time, and Fauci is expected to testify on this tomorrow. But Harris, this is expected to be a contentious hearing. Back to you.
So the one thing I will say is I have to give the mainstream media some credit. They are reporting on this, right? And they're reporting on it in interesting ways. You have Fauci diaries released by Senator Rand Paul, touch on COVID origins and tense relationship with Trump. That seems kind of interesting. My favorite one here, and this is from The Atlantic, and this is why I want to give The Atlantic some credit. I have not read this article yet, but it's called The Unmasking of Anthony Fauci. So I got to think, once again, if I get a chance to read the piece, that they're touching on some things that we wouldn't expect the mainstream media to focus on or touch on, especially considering the amount of love that the mainstream media gave Anthony Fauci.
I think that they're finally turning their back on him. There's been enough time since, he was the hero Fauci, right? That he's been out there. I think enough time has gone by where even the left realizes that it was not what it was said to be. It was more of a control issue. Now, willing to say that publicly, but the media is willing to say it without having pushback from the left.
Well, yeah, because now we're realizing there's so much information out there that we did not know. And what really bothered me isn't so much that there was, first of all, they say we didn't know, but the reality was folks like you and I, folks on the right, were asking a bunch of questions. And still nobody questions. And not only did nobody question, but the more Republicans came up and asked questions and the more Anthony Fauci came out and lied, the more the left seemed to just, flat out suck up to him. It was really, really bad. And here you have RFK, kind of point to all of the different things that Anthony Fauci lied about. And then the question is he going to be held accountable?
He was given a pardon prospectively from the last administration. We don't know if it was an auto pen pardon. It doesn't really matter for legality purposes. But Americans want to know, a lot of them, is there going to be any accountability for trillions of dollars lost, children's education destroyed, and public health industry reputation shattered?
Yeah, and millions of people injured. He lied about masks, he lied about social distancing, he lied about the transmission, he lied about natural immunity, he lied about the capacity, as you just said, of the vaccine to prevent infection. He got vaccinated a very, very public press conference in January of 2020. And then 5 months later, he had, and this is the first time that we knew this from the diary, he had a pulmonary infarction, which is one of the adverse events that NIH, CDC, and FDA said are expected from the vaccine. He never told anybody. He got treated for it privately by the best doctors in America. At the same time, he was telling everybody that that was not an adverse event.
Here's the thing. He flat out lied. And now the problem is once again, he's gotten a pardon. He already received a pardon from President Biden. Is there really going to be any accountability?
So, listen, just to throw some controversy into more controversy, right? I don't recall, Craig, if it was the Attorney General's office or the Solicitor General's office that said a few months that the auto pen, if they know that the one for Hunter Biden was a live signature, but the others were auto pens, and that they're looking into those being legal. They're still looking into those. Whether they have to prove that basically they have to prove that Joe Biden wasn't operating the auto pen, which I think they could prove that pretty simple. He didn't have his faculties about him, even when he was speaking to the public. But, so just put that to the side, that's still available. I know Laura Ingraham said it was not available, but that's still something that our government, that our bosses are looking at up in in DC, right? Craig, here's what gets me about this guy. And I think the reason he may have done this is, remember what this guy's job and this guy's life has been his entire life. He's been the little quiet, a research scientist, doctor, looking through a microscope his whole life. And then all of a sudden, the whole world is listening to his words. He went from basically the nerd to the prom king, right? And didn't know how to handle it. So, if he had just said everything that he said publicly was all he said, and now he came back and said, listen, it's 6 years later, I know I was wrong. I don't think any of us would have an issue with that. Except the diaries say that he knew all along he was wrong.
Not just that he knew all along, but keep in mind the fact, in particular, when it comes to the
That he was lying all along.
the beginning of COVID. What I want to know is what is in there about his involvement with NIH and the funding of gain of function research at the Wuhan lab. I mean, there's a lot of evidence that put it this way. We know that people came to Fauci and said, we want you to fund gain of function. And he said to them directly, no. Then they went to the Wuhan lab, and then we sent money. Fauci sent American tax dollars to the Wuhan lab where gain of function was taking place. So the question is, did we fund gain of function? And his argument is, well, it depends on what you mean by gain of function.
Yeah, right. Just like it depends on what your definition of is, right, Bill Clinton?
Well, exactly.
And that's clear. Listen, anybody that's followed this story beyond just, the mask issue and the social distancing kind of nonsense knows that Obama outlawed gain of function research. And then Fauci, through these other people, either on his own initiative or being pushed by other, or either they pushed the nerd around and said, this is good, let's do this. And they did gain of function, and he was responsible. You can find that link for him sending money over there, right? Exactly right, over in China. Now, let's say they takes them for a while to figure out this whole auto pen thing, right? That doesn't mean other countries can't throw charges against him when this all comes out. That doesn't mean China can't do it for killing their people. That doesn't mean Canada and the rest of the world can't throw charges against this guy. Joe Biden's auto pen at the moment only applies in this country. It may not apply in this country for much longer, but the rest of the world can go after him as well.
Well, I'm still waiting for the rest.
If not criminally, Craig,
right?
Financially.
I'm still waiting on the rest of the world. If the rest of the world is going to go after anybody, number one, they need to go after China, because China flat out lied to the world about what was going on. Because keep in mind, they had shut down travel from province to province there in China, but we're still allowing people, even from Wuhan, to fly all over the world as they continued to lie about what was going on there in China when it came to the COVID-19.
Agreed, but I think that's what we all expect China to do. I mean, they did the same thing, during the bird flu and the SARS and all of that. It's just, I mean, it's like, getting mad at for Iran for fighting back. I mean, we knew it was going to happen.
Oh, yeah. And by the way, I will continue. I do not believe that they unleashed it, that it was created and got out on purpose. I believe it was an accident. I believe that they calculated, well, what sort of an economic or disadvantage is this going to put us compared to the rest of the world if we're the only ones dealing with it? And that's why they let it out. I definitely believe that to be the case. I'm not saying I got any evidence other than the fact that we have evidence that they knew it was there, that they knew it was going on. They knew enough to lock people down internally, but they let them travel around the world.
Yeah, and this will snowball as well as more of this comes out. Democrat leadership that was responsible for all the control being put in place will take a lot of this heat. They will get I mean, hopefully some of them charged with crimes as well. Because look, you and I both know where we were sitting together watching the president's State of the Union address, and this country was on top of the world, and the economy was the best ever. And then within a month and a half, 2 months, as COVID started to come out, and they pushed it. Remember, they pushed it to the point where it shut the economy down. And still, Trump ended up with better numbers than, Biden
Well,
did.
and by the way, a lot of people want to blame Trump for a lot of the shutdowns, but I just want to be clear. Other than the 3 weeks to slow the spread, Trump was not in favor of shutting anything down.
No, he put everything back. Everybody else went back to work.
Yes, everyone else went back to work. The only people that were really shutting things down were the blue states, right? California, New York. I mean, they were the ones who were really shutting things down. And by the way, they were doing so. They weren't. I won't necessarily say they were contradicting. The initial information out of the CDC was shutting down short term made no sense, right? They're like, you're not going to reduce the spread in a short period of time. Over time, they talked about shutdown, but I think that was more political pressure than following the science, because everything that they had set up before then was inconsistent with what most blue states wound up eventually doing. Right. And I know this because I was a school board member, and I was asking, where's Where's the evidence? Why are we shutting down schools? I'm not. Can I see the numbers from the places that haven't shut down? Is our schools a vector? I mean, I couldn't get any information from our county, state, or federal government on any of that. But we knew the number. You and I knew because we talked about it a lot. The data existed. Everyone ignored it.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember that we did the 3-week shutdown. It took a little while to get off of it. In some places they weren't sure what to do. We had a couple of blue counties that were pushing it as well. Besides, going to an airport or TSA or something like that, maybe in the hospitals, just because of abundance of precaution, we had to wear masks, but they were gone in Florida. Whereas I remember sitting right here with you talking about it. You guys had mask mandates for 3 years. 3 years.
Yeah. Yes, we had mask mandates forever. It was a while. But
yeah.
And the thing was that we were questioning it. We were finding the data and the information, and the government was still telling us, nope, not it. That's it. I mean, it was more like, I want to say 4 years before we finally, the state of emergency was finally lifted in the state of California. 4 years after COVID was gone.
Yeah.
Anyway. And somebody's got to be held accountable for all that. And everyone says, well, we didn't know. We didn't know. No, you didn't want to know because people knew you didn't listen to them. The media didn't listen to them. In fact, they did everything possible to shut us up. This channel, if you're watching this on the Rundowns YouTube channel, you were shut up. We were shut up for 3 years. They shut us off. They shut off our channel because we said COVID with a K was fake.
That's it. Listen, this diary gives absolute evidence of why your Governor Mussolini, didn't social distance, didn't wear a mask, went to parties because he'd had the conversations with Fauci that wasn't a big deal.
Exactly. And that's the thing. The thing about all of this was he lied. We knew he was lying. And now he admits in his diary that he was lying. And by the way, in a couple of days, we're going to be doing this show. We're going to be talking about the hearing. And I'm really interested to see what comes out of that hearing because Rand Paul, I think, is going to rake him over the coals. If I were him, I wouldn't show up.
Listen, if he does, he's just going to pull the Jim Comey, right? He's going to pull the I don't remember, or Fifth Amendment. Although he has a pardon, so he shouldn't be afraid of it. However, they could end up charging him with a lying to Congress kind of thing. So.
Well, if he says something this time related to it, yes.
Anyway. Yeah, because he might have been pardoned for those things in the past, but it'd be in the present day lying to Congress.
Exactly.
It doesn't work that way. So
exactly. Talk about things not working that way. You guys remember when Mamdani came out and he made this promise, right? And he basically talked about he was going to basically impose a tax on people who owned property in New York but didn't live there as a way in which to raise money and attack the rich there. Here's the thing that he put out in relationship to that.
When I ran for mayor, I said I was going to tax the rich. Well, today, we're taxing the rich. I'm thrilled to announce we've secured a pied-à-terre tax, the first in New York's history. This is an annual fee on luxury properties worth more than $5 million, whose owners do not live full-time in the city. Like for this penthouse, which hedge fund CEO Ken Griffin bought for $238 million. This pied-à-terre tax is specifically designed for the richest of the rich, those who store their wealth in New York City real estate, but who don't actually live here. But even so, they're able to reap the huge financial rewards of owning property in, dare I say, the greatest city in the world. And most of the time, these units are sitting empty, since again, they don't actually live here. This is a fundamentally unfair system that hurts working New Yorkers. Now, it's coming to an end. This tax will raise at least $500 million directly for the city. It'll help fund things like free childcare, cleaner streets, and safer neighborhoods. As mayor, I believe everyone has a role to play in contributing to our city, and some a little bit more than others. Happy Tax Day, New York.
So now, as a part of this effort, he put together a list, and in this list, what he basically did was he listed not just the names of the people who owned these properties. He included the addresses of the properties, their names. Basically, he doxed them, right? So as he's declared a war, literally a class war against wealthy, he's actually also put their names and addresses out there. And there are some folks who are kind of concerned about this, and I believe rightfully so. Let's read the story from over at Fox News. It says Mayor Zoran Mamdani opened a new front in his ongoing battle with New York City's wealthy after his administration published a searchable database identifying affluent property owners who could be subject to the city's proposed pied-à-terre tax, a move critics say could expose them to harassment and public safety risks. The database released by the city's Department of Finance allows users to search the properties and view the names and addresses of owners whose non-primary residences could be subject to the proposed tax. A spokesperson for the department said the publication of the property roll was required by state law. Quote, as per state law, a property roll was released for public inspection. From this list, DOF will identify properties that may be subject to the non-primary resident property surcharge, the spokesman told Fox News Digital. A person familiar with the process who spoke on the condition of anonymity said the city has publicly released similar property tax rolls every year for many years in accordance with New York state law. The person said the new taxes and surcharges follow the same process. The state passes legislation, a public property roll is published, and the Department of Finance identifies the properties subject to the levying using the criteria by the state. Now, Mike, you and I both know the DSA crowd, the Antifa crowd, the BLM crowd, they are not above going and attacking people. They are not above going and by the way, stealing from people. Because keep in mind, if these are non-primary residences and most of them are sitting empty, that means that they are ripe for people to go and loot them, rob them. And I would not put that past any of the folks on the left, or at least the folks we know on the left, from doing that.
Oh, yeah. And it's happened before. It'll happen again, and it'll happen here. You know what amazes me about this, Craig, is the Zorhan here, the Moldani. He's really a one-dimensional thinker. I mean, hey, we want to tax the rich. I promise you, we're going to tax the rich. So we're going to go after this. We're going to go after a CEO of a major, $1 billion corporation. Going to go after his $238 million property that he owns. Do you not know what the response is going to be there, Moldani? Do you not see him, dropping that at whatever cost he can get out of it, and then moving his $1 billion company to Dallas or Miami, and New York's going to get zero. So the $500 million you think you may be getting by taxing the properties they own, you're going to get dick when they take their entire companies and move out of state. You're going to end up further in the hole. You're an idiot.
Right. A lot of those properties are going to go way down in value because the market is going to be flooded with them. So how do that's the other question. Once everybody lists the money
back. The CEO will make his money back by moving his company to a state that's not going to tax the piss out of him.
Right. So my question is, once all of these properties get listed and the property values go down, because, first of all, not a lot of people can afford a $5 million property, and not a lot of people are going to want to buy a $5 million property if it means that they're going to have to pay an annual tax on it. So when nobody buys it and the value goes down, so are they then no longer going to be subject to this tax? So do we then see the revenue from this tax go down?
Well, that's it. That's exactly what they're going to do. They're going to say, we're selling it for half the cost. I'm going to lose this much money, but I'm going to gain that back in the first year without tax implications from leaving your city. And then Moldani, maybe he's a two-dimensional thinker, because then he can use these $238 million penthouses, Craig, and turn them into free food stores.
By the way, that's also can go down especially if it's a property that's listed under their business. They're now taking a loss. They'll get to write that off. Right? And they'll write it off for years.
Funny how that works.
They're just
one-dimensional thinking there.
But this is what happens when you have a guy who's never really had a real job, who doesn't really understand how finance works, who doesn't really understand how economics works, who doesn't really understand that there's nothing more mobile than a rich man and his money. Right? You got somebody who don't know nothing about money trying to get money from people who've made a lot of money, and there's a reason why they've made a lot of money. It's not because they're stupid.
Yep.
Beyond frustrating. Anyway.
Yeah, he's no better than The kids on the street corner going, I want free college. I just have a billionaire pay for it.
Right. And when that billionaire doesn't pay for it, and now you've already got a bill because you decided to go to college because some moron named Mom Donnie told you that that the rich were going to pay for it, then what?
Yeah. Guess what? The rich left. They're gone.
Yes.
Left your state.
Look, hey, ask Kathy Hochul. She's down in Florida begging them to come back.
Yep. Ask Governor Newsom.
By the way, as is the mayor of Seattle.
Yeah.
Funny.
Listen,
they tell
Governor
him get
Newsom,
out. They're saying bye, Felicia. Now they're saying, Felicia, please come back. Please come back.
Governor Newsom's in-laws left California. They were like, this sucks. We're not staying here.
Exactly. All right, this next one is a great story, largely because we know the person who started this. There's an event that takes place in Detroit, and it's a women's shooting event. It was started by a gentleman named Rick Ector. Rick Ector is a longtime firearms trainer there in Detroit. He is a former member of the board of directors for the NRA, has been dealing with health challenges for the last couple of years. But the event that he started, the one that really helped put him on the map, it's still going on there in Detroit. This being reported by Cam Edwards over at Bearing Arms. It says, last week on Bearing Arms, Cam and company, I talked with firearms instructor Jackie Emsley about the 15th annual training event for women hosted by Legally Armed in Detroit, otherwise known as LAID. I am pleased to report that the event was a huge success. Founded by longtime Second Amendment advocate Rick Ector, the event has grown from about 100 women in its first year to more than 2,000 participants, most of whom have had little to no formal experience with firearms. The event held at Recoil Firearms in Taylor drew lines wrapped around the building as women of all experience levels came to learn basic gun skills in both a classroom setting and on the range. Quote, I am a little bit nervous, to be honest. I've never done anything like this before, said Savannah Lorenz, a Roseville resident attending for the first time. That feeling of nervousness is exactly what instructors hope to address. Quote, we want to give them the opportunity that a gun is simply a tool, no different than a fork in your kitchen or a shovel in your shed, said instructor Candy Pedencourt. Now, Mike, we've done this show there from Detroit in the past. Once again, it's a phenomenal event. And what the other thing to note is, and they didn't note this in the article, but instructors and volunteers fly in on their own dime from all across the country to help with this event. And it's a testament to Rick Ector. It's also a testament to those who've worked so much with him. I wanted to make sure to recognize Tanisha Monner. She's really kind of helped take the lead on this. She was the NRA's Woman of the Year. She's really kind of stepped up and really kind of taken over the reins while Rick is dealing with what he's dealing with. But this was an example, Mike, of a guy who's like, he saw a need and he's like, I'm going to fill it.
Yeah, both great humans, the two of them. I mean, absolutely wonderful. And I've been there before. We broadcast for there before. I've been an instructor there before on the range. It's an amazing thing. What always struck me about it, and Rick had the opportunity and chose not to. This was not about politics. There was no politics involved in this at all. This was come out and get your free gun training safety class. That way, if you've always just wanted to know and shoot for free, blah, blah, whatever it is. If you want to have, just what to do if you come across a firearm, that's it. You don't have to shoot. You can just sit through the classes. You do whatever you want to. Now, don't get me wrong. There's like an NRA table and a Second Amendment Foundation table there, and there, you can go introduce yourself to them, but they're not hawking their products, trying to make you sit through a political rally. It's clearly about firearm safety, and that's it. And it's amazing what he's done. And now that Tanisha's picked up the ball and carrying on.
It was, you had young, you had old, you had black, white, Asian, Latina. I mean, you had the diaspora of people who were there. You had some women who were experienced and some who were brand new. And usually, if you had an experienced woman, they were bringing other women who were brand new. And oh, by the way, folks, this was an absolutely free event. Right? This was open for free. The instruction was free. The shooting was free. Anyway, and it's, by the way, and it still is. And just hats off to all of the folks who donated their time, energy, effort. To people donated ammo. They donated use of firearms. You had, like I said, trainers come in from all over the country. The Recoil, who offered the use of their facility. All to help people.
I think it was Phoenix Ammunition. If you're looking to buy ammo, go to check out Phoenix Ammunition. If you're looking to buy a firearm now or get some training, go to Recoil. Pay them back.
Yes, check them out. Anyway, but I just have to say that in the 2A community, people understand there are a lot of people out there who give a lot of time, energy, and effort, who give of their own, who give of themselves in order to help promote not just gun rights, but human rights, to promote our civil rights. And, they're just the one they prefer to put out there first is the right to keep and bear arms. Anyway, just wanted to say I was so glad to hear that event is still going on. Would have loved to have gotten out there. For some reason, I have no idea why. Flying to Detroit from Sacramento it's cheaper for me to fly to Hawaii. Almost cheaper for me to fly to Europe than it is for me to fly to Detroit.
That's odd. Yeah, because Detroit's one of those cheapy round trips for me from here. But I was at another event I could not get away from this year.
Yeah, well, I will work to try and be out in Detroit next year.
Detroit.
In Detroit. Now, do you think that Michigan is ranked the #1 state in America? If you think it is, you would be wrong. U.S. News and World Reports did their rankings of the #1 state in the union. And I wanted to just kind of hit on that a little bit because you're going to notice a common theme as we start to go through some of these states and their rankings. This being reported by the folks over at Fox News. America's #1 state is crowned again. Find out who's the top and where your state ranks. Okay. Let's see here. Utah isn't giving up its crown. The Beehive state came in at America's #1 state for the 4th consecutive year in the U.S. News and World Report's 2026 Best States rankings, holding on to the top spot overall while Texas claimed the nation's highest ranked economy. No surprise. The list points to notable regional trend that the Mountain West, Midwest, and Sunbelt states claiming many of the country's highest overall rankings. 4 of the top 5 states are located in the Mountain West or Upper Midwest, with Utah, South Dakota, Minnesota, North Dakota, and Nebraska leading the overall rankings in order. New Hampshire, Idaho, Florida, Washington, and Vermont rounded up the top 10. Now let's look here. Let's look here a little bit at the map, and let's see when I go over some of these. Let's see if okay, so you can kind of see some of these. So let's see. Let's look at Florida here. So on the economy, they're ranked 7th, infrastructure 11, opportunity. I'm surprised with the way their economy is going. They have them ranked 47th. Finance.
I don't know what that is. Yeah.
Crime 14. So let's compare that to, say, this is Utah. Healthcare 18, economy 2nd, infrastructure 4, opportunity 24, environment 48. Well, let's take a look at California here. I'm sure it's a hot mess. Overall ranked 35th, education 25th. Right. I said that as a California school board member. Economy 26, infrastructure 32. Okay, that's like overly generous. Finance 44, environment 27, crime 36.
Look at that opportunity.
Opportunity 50th. In other words, if you're looking for opportunity, California is not a place to come. Go to Texas. Texas, they have opportunity at 48th. I'm starting to wonder about these rankings here.
Yeah. Go to Michigan.
Minnesota, up. Okay. Iowa.
To the right. Keep going. One more. Now go up. Left. Other left. Michigan. Yeah, go back to Michigan. There you go. Let me see what Michigan says. 46. That's odd because I know they're the number one state that's shaped like a mitten.
They're the number one state. But look, they're in the 40s in education, in economy, in infrastructure, in wow, they're not in the top half in anything. Except for healthcare, which I wonder what that. I guess that means like if you're an illegal immigrant, you get healthcare.
There you go.
That's probably what that means. Probably just means, all them illegals get free healthcare over there. But, Mike, I gotta say, and here's the thing. California has many blessings, and most of them geographic, a lot of them historic. But California is screwing. Yeah, well, no, we don't have a high-speed train. but California is really it's leaning on that history and the geography, and they seem to think that's why people will stay in California or come to California. But numbers are now showing people are not coming to California, at least not people who are looking for opportunity, not people who are looking for jobs, not people who are looking to start a business. They're not coming here. They're going other places, and the people in California who are looking for those things are leaving California.
It's we don't have them now. We don't see them as much. But when Newsom was having the fight with DeSantis, we were getting all the come to visit California commercials. And Craig, it was 30 seconds of we got good weather and celebrities. That's all it was.
Well, and a lot of the celebrities, they literally fly in for the events in LA and then fly back out. I mean, a lot of the Hollywood folks do not mess around in LA.
Yep.
They are not even remotely cool like that. Anyway, folks, that now brings us to our parting shots. Parting shots are brought to you by Hog Holsters. Go to hogholsters.com. Use the discount code The Rundown, all caps, no spaces. Get your Hog Holster today. One of the things I wanted to do for our thing today was I wanted to share with you, as we were talking about Anthony Fauci, I wanted to share with you just a collage. For those of you, as the mainstream media reports on Anthony Fauci and the news story of Anthony Fauci, I just wanted to remind you how much they sucked up to this man during his time during his time in both the Trump as well as in the Biden administration. Well, they didn't suck up to him when he was with Trump, but when he stayed with Joe Biden, that's when they really sucked up.
The single most respected voice in the pandemic. It's Dr. Anthony Fauci.
The man who's become known as America's doctor.
The nation's top infectious disease expert, Anthony Fauci.
You are seen to many as a superhero.
Dr. Anthony Fauci, American hero and New York Yankee fan.
You've done so much for this country in terms of this crisis, so I really appreciate your insight.
Who better to give us answers that we can trust than Dr. Anthony Fauci?
The perfect person to answer our questions today. Joining us now, Dr. Anthony Fauci.
Dr. Anthony Fauci, appreciate your candor.
Dr. Fauci, appreciate the candor.
We appreciate your service to this country.
We appreciate your service.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you for your service.
Greatly appreciate your service to America.
Thank you for your 37 years of service, I believe, to 7 presidents, and thank you for your work over the past year.
The great news is you're sticking around in the Biden administration. We are so grateful to you, Dr. Fauci.
Yeah, there was more, but I just couldn't take it anymore. I'm hoping that every single one of those people, every single one of those faces that we saw in there, I'm hoping that they come out and they apologize for, or at the very least recognize, yeah, we were wrong. Anthony Fauci was full of poop.
Mm-hmm. In his book, I guess, which is also out due release this week or whatever. Mm-hmm. He mentions he calls himself a hero 50 times in his own book.
He does. You're kidding me.
Nope.
Wow. What a maroon. Anyway. So here in California, to replace Governor Gavin Newsom, we have a race between Javier Becerra and Steve Hilton. And Steve Hilton has employed the AI media company that did a lot of the Spencer Pratt commercials. And here's one of the first commercials that they did. Now, admittedly, you can kind of tell who Gavin Newsom is and Javier Becerra is and Steve Hilton is if you know what they look like. But I got to be honest, they kind of look like them. They look more like relatives of theirs. But it's an interesting commercial nonetheless.
No, please don't do this. You don't have to do this. Please, I just want to be able to afford a tank of gas so I can drive to work and feed my family.
He just wants some gas.
That's
You can have
Javier.
all the gas you want, but first you must defeat the California machine.
Please, I have young kids. All I'm asking for is a reasonable cost of living, nothing else.
The machine doesn't give a damn about you and your family.
Uh-oh. Another wildfire.
That's supposed to be Steve Hilton.
Please don't do this to me. I'm a nurse. Me and my husband just want to buy a home together.
A home? In this economy?
Everyone can own a home, but only once they get past the machine.
Enough is enough. You shouldn't have to fight for your life just to fill your tank, keep the lights on, and put a roof over your family's head. We don't have to live like this. Enough is enough.
Now,
The most notable
one
thing
was
in the-
Newsom? I didn't even
What'd
know
you
he
say?
was in there. Which one was Newsom? I didn't even know he was in there.
Oh, he was the emperor. That was the guy who was. That's the other guy who was talking. So the one guy without the leaf thing on his head, the whatever they call laurel leaf on his head, that was Javier Becerra. You know, the one who said another wildfire, and the guy who kept saying you have to get past the machine. That was Gavin Newsom. That's what I'm saying.
I had no clue that was supposed to be Newsom.
Yes, that was supposed to be Gavin Newsom, the sitting governor of California. The one thing I will say that I appreciate that they did was they added a little bass to Steve Hilton's voice, because his British accent is a little, you know, it leaves you wanting for a little bit more oomph. We'll just leave it at that.
Got it.
All right. This next one here, you're gonna love this one. This is this is like showing. Okay, as the thing says, it says showing your socialist friend the secret loophole for taking money from rich people. This is put out by the Atlas Society.
Now, I know this plan is foolproof. Check this out. First of all, you and me start working at the bank. Doesn't matter the position, okay? Just so long as we get in there, right? Then we just go there every day, do the work, gain their trust until we get them in the palm of our hand.
All right. That's how we get the money.
That's the beauty of it, bro. They deposit the money into our bank accounts. Week after week, month after month. They not even gonna know they being robbed. And then 20, 30 years later, we walk out the front door like nothing even happened.
Mother, that's called a job!
Yeah, that's how you take money from rich people. Is you go, you get a job, you earn money, you create value, people pay you for that value, and then you
Crazy
invest
like
that
that.
money. Funny how that works. All right, folks. So that's
Crazy.
going to be it for today's program. But before we go, we're going to give one more quick shout out to our sponsors.
Yep, Hitman Industries, hitmanindustries.net. Get on over there. They got AR barrels, rifle caliber, pistol caliber, any length you desire. You can also get a host of other rifle, pistol, and shotgun barrels that they make as well. That's hitmanindustries.net. California Republican Assembly, fighting a good fight behind enemy lines. Now you can take part in California's future today. And if you want the best in field gear, tactical gear, web gear, law enforcement, security, fire, EMS, whatever it may be, get your group together, get your agency together, place an order at uscombatgear.com, or you can get everything except the gun.
And folks, before we go, I want to make sure to give a quick shout out to Mark Byris of Reno, Nevada, and Andre Crump, Sacramento, California, for tuning in. I want to thank you guys for giving us a shout out. We appreciate you tuning in. We appreciate you liking and sharing the program and encouraging your friends to do the same. We will be back tomorrow on one of our favorite days, otherwise known as Hump Day. Till then, y'all have fun, take care, and we'll see y'all mañana.